Good day, everyone. My name is Edwige, and I'm a data analyst. So today I would like to work with you through data modeling in Excel. So we'll start by loading our data into this blank workbook. So get data from a .csv file. And then when I import my data, instead of loading, I'll transform. So now we go to Power Query. So in Power Query now, I need to first assign the correct data type and do the cleaning that I need to do before I go to the modeling part of it. So you see this date column, these two date columns are showing ABC. So it means it is stored as a text file. So I go ahead and click here to change it to the correct type. But see, it is showing error because my Excel file naming for the date, like the date in this in my Excel will show month, day, and year. But this data is stored in such a way it is day, month, and year. So instead of doing it this way, I will go ahead and delete that step and then split this column by delimiter. So then after that, since this first column is day, month, and year, then I will shift it, arrange it back, and then merge it back again. And then I select the separator, which is a / and I name it as it was, order date. Okay. So now if I go ahead and change it, then everything will look perfectly. So we should do the same here. Okay. So now we arrange it back and then we merge the three columns again. Merge. Then we shouldn't forget to put the separator. Then we rename it. Pay attention to the consistency. Okay. So change it back to date. So everything is now perfect there. And then I explore other columns and make sure that everything is correct. So now when I come to the postal code, this is showing as a number. So it means we can actually submit, but that is not our purpose. So we change this to text. And then we continue. Now the sales, we want to change it to currency. The quantity is good. Then the discount, we want it to be stored as a percentage. And then lastly, the profit should be currency also. So now we went ahead and we arrange everything. We assign the correct data type. Now we want to create fact and dimension tables. So I'll duplicate this data and then I'll go ahead and create the first dimension table, name customers. So I'll select the customer ID, customer names, and segment. I right click and I choose remove other columns so that I'm left only with those three. And then since this is a dimension table, I want this column, which is customer ID, to be the primary key of this table called customers that I'm going to rename here. So I'll right click here and select remove duplicate. Okay, because I will use this column to create a relationship with the fact table. So now I will rename this to customers. Customers. Enter. So we do the same. We go back to the initial table. We create now the second dimension table. So we duplicate. And then this time around, since I also have product, I have things like country, city, state, and postal code in region. So I'll select those columns and then remove other columns. And then from this, I will select the postal code as the primary key of this table. So I need to remove duplicate value. Then I will name this as location. So the location will contain postal code, country, city, state, and region location. Now the next thing to do is to create another dimension table because I have columns here related to product. So I'll duplicate this again. Then let's call this product. So I'll select the product ID, category, subcategory, and then product name. Right click, remove other columns. And then the product ID is the primary key of this table. So I'll right click here and remove duplicate. So now the 3-dimension tables have been created. So now this data set, the initial table, now I need to use it as a fact table. So I need to remove the other columns which are already appearing in these dimension tables, except the ones for the primary key, because in this table here, those columns will be used as foreign key. So I'm going to remove customer name, segment, country, city, state. So we can start by removing this one. And then we continue. So I'm keeping the customer ID, postal code, because they are foreign keys for the other table. So I don't need region, don't need category, subcategory, and product name. So I need this product ID column because it is the foreign key of the product table. So now I think everything has been done. So we can rename this as fact orders. So now, since everything has been done, we want to now load our data to Excel. Close and load. So our data is loading in Excel. So we wait. Okay, so now we can even click here to preview everything and so on. So let's go to this. We don't need this sheet. Okay, let's go to this one, and then we want to check that everything is correct. So we don't need this blank. So I'll go ahead and delete this row, and then clear the filter. So now I think everything is okay. The next thing to do is to add the data, to model the data. So it means creating relationship between the tables. So we'll go to Power Pivot and say, so this fact table is selected. So I'll just go ahead and say add to the model, add to data model, and then it will open a new window. So this table is already added. So I need to go ahead and add all the other tables. So I will click on the product and say add to data model. So it will appear here just as on the Excel workbook. So location, add to data model, and then we are left with only one table. So we do the same, customers, add to data model. So now all our tables are here. The next thing to do is to build a diagram, and today we are going to build a star we are going to use a star schema. So we put the fact table in the middle and the dimension tables outside, like to form a star. So now we will drag the column to the corresponding one in the other table. You can see here one to many, because this column, remember, we removed all the duplicates. So we do the same here, postal code, same thing, showing one to many, and then customer ID. Exactly. So you can see the result. So now our data model, we have modeled our data, so it means we can now continue with our analysis, and so in Excel. So now if we come here to connection, you can see that the connections have been created and so on. So if you want, you can now go ahead and build your dashboard, create whatever you want. And remember that in Excel, you can also create measures just as we do it in Power BI. So that will be in our next video. Thank you so much for watching this video. In case you have questions, you feel free to reach out to me, and I will be very happy to explain. Thank you. See you in my next video.